I'll take it. We'll 50 years.
I will definitely take care of that. Good morning. Good morning.
What are these?
I don't know yet.
We just always need a piece of paper. We need one or two.
One or two.
I only need one.
I was doing my social butterfly.
How do you like the music and everything?
It looks good. It doesn't look unbelievably hard.
Oh, did you see your Christmas concert music?
Yeah. Finally got our first.
What's the stuff you're doing? Is it going to be?
Well, we're actually doing some Christmassy type of stuff. We're doing Let It Snow, and we're doing. I think we're saying Let It Snow or something.
Yeah, we've done some kind of version. What's the name?
And one where we're getting rid of some sort of thing where we're going to have something going on behind us. It's all like an old music. Which so it's a variety of the first half is sort of all the different language stuff.
New people will sit
And then it's the reading. Then it's the reading and then the interview. And then reading.
I beg your pardon.
Okay.
Yes, but I just put that on the table.
Yes.
I decided to wear it.
No, for 7 minutes. So
It's my show.
All right, it's so nice to see all the excitement. Settle down. No worries. So good to see you. I think we're going to get rain, so this is a big turnout for a rainy day. So this is really great to see. Thank you for braving the rain. Welcome to First Parish Brewster. Our church, founded in 1700, I just love saying that, 1700, is part of a living tradition, one that draws wisdom from all the world's religious traditions, balanced with the insights of modern science. Here we call ourselves seekers after truth and practical goodness, because with all there is to know, the one thing we can all be sure of is that none of us have all the answers. Instead, our ancestors have told us that community, character, and curiosity are 3 stars by which we can navigate a collaborative journey towards truth, justice, friendship, and meaning in this modern world. I'm the Reverend Scott Holland. My pronouns are he and him, and I am the taller half of your First Parish ministry team. Reverend Julia, the smarter half, is home and recovering from surgery. To all reports, she is doing brilliantly, and I just wanted to pass along our thanks for all of the many gifts of food, cards, and general well wishes. It means a lot, so I really appreciate that. To our online friends, wherever this day happens to find you, know that we are grateful to have your time and company. And if you here in the room happen to be new here this morning, a very special welcome to you. You are terrifically good looking and have amazing taste. So if you are willing and able, you are invited to fill out a welcome card or just drop a note to us at administrator at First Parish Brewster, and we will endeavor to connect you with information about First Parish and all the fabulous things we do here. All over our denomination, the first Sunday after Labor Day is traditionally marked as homecoming or ingathering. What that tends to mean is that our far-flung friends and neighbors have returned home from their summer holidays. This is actually a legacy to those days of old when our ancestors used to take the entire summer off, leave the heat of the city and go off into wherever, like, here. So that does raise a question. I'm not sure if today is a homecoming or a home sending them back home. Mysteries abound. But while it does mean that our regular church year is now spinning back up, another thing it means is water. And so today we will be attempting a ritual of the water. For those of you that are curious, there are several sacraments that Unitarian Universalists tend to observe. The first is coffee. We celebrate coffee communion every Sunday in our parish hall immediately following our services. Our tables are open to all, and all are invited to partake. The second is flower communion, which happens generally in May. It's very pretty. Hope to see you there. Today we're going to celebrate the third, water communion or water ceremony. We will do that shortly. If you have done your donation of water in our pitchers or bowl as you came in, that's brilliant. If you have not, no worries. Our ushers will be around later to collect that water. I will signal you. As always, do check your angle for more information. I have a couple of quick announcements. The first is that the snow picnic, which was scheduled for today, will be postponed till next Sunday. The second is that next Sunday, immediately following the service, in our garden, our annual memorial service will be held, and that will be to dedicate the newly memorialized that are now on our posts out there in the garden. Hope to see you there too. And with that, I'd like to invite you to join me in finding a comfortable position, or at least a more comfortable. Just squish on in. And then join me in taking a slow breath in. Hold it just a moment and let it go. Nice and gentle. In and out. One more. In and out. And continue to take a few more slow, deep, intentional breaths over the next couple of moments. With each release, just begin to let go of whatever it is that you need to let go of in order to be more fully present to yourself, one another, and to the possibility of the sacred in this time and place.
Good morning. Well, you didn't know it, but you're going to be joining the choir on the introit this morning. And here's what I'd like you to say. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible.
We are unstoppable. Another world is possible.
All right, and you are going to say that 4 times. You also could participate, including the talking, but also keep a beat for us. Just okay, good. So when we start, you're going to do that and the talking. And then when I go like this, I want you to stop so you can listen to what they sing. Then I'm going to point to you again, and I want you to say that again. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. And I'll do this again. They'll sing, and we'll close. You got it?
Our chalice lighting words this morning come to us from Reverend Dr. Leslie Takahashi, who writes, "We gather as many drops, each winding our own path down life's surfaces and ruts. Here, we pull together as a single body, flowing together for a time. Together, we are a stream, at times, even a river. For with our shared force, we can travel toward oceans of meaning and seas of connection. You're invited to stand as you are able for the affirmation. We believe in love.
Love is the doctrine of this church.
We believe in truth.
The quest for truth is the sacrament.
We believe in helping others.
And service is our prayer.
We believe in the sacredness of life.
To the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine.
You're invited to remain standing for hymn number 1074 in the blue hymnal.
And in this hymn, we have a couple of repeats. And what that means is that you sing things a couple of times. So if you turn to 1074, you'll see that we're going to sing things on page 1 a couple of times. And then on page 3 and 4, we sing that bit. There are 2 different lines. So let's have everybody on this side sing the top part the whole time. So everybody can sing that top part of pages 3 and 4 both times. But everybody on the other side, far away from me, I want you to sing what's on the second line when we repeat those pages. And choir, can you please sing that with them? And then we move on, and on the last page we also have, or the second to last page, we have repeats where you see the 2 little dots. So lots of things we sing, a couple verses. It's always a ride on this one.
Good morning. Morning, Mary and Vinny. I'm going to tell a story today about an apple tree. Do you like apples? No? That would be sad. I want you to think, Vinny and Mary, about things we can make with apples. What you like to eat. Like, do you like applesauce? So think about that, because I'm going to come back and ask you what you like from apples. So we're moving into the time period, as much as I drag my feet about it, when summer is going behind us and it's moving into autumn and the next season, which I always want to be ready for and I'm trying to be joyful about. But soon we will have the fall equinox. And the celebration of the fall equinox in the pagan tradition is called Mabon. This is a story about that time of when your gardens are full. My friend Finn showed me a picture of his garden, and it's like so abundant. My kids have a CSA, and I can't believe how many peaches came into the house last week. So it is so much abundance right now, and the bounty of that. So this story takes place a long, long time ago in a little village, and this village was nestled between the woods and the hills, and in the middle of the town square, there was a large, huge, ancient apple tree. Now, that tree had leafy branches and roots that grow way down deep and drew from the earth. The tree was particularly good about giving its fruit and its gifts at just the right time. And so in that time of year when the leaves around start to turn golden and red and the air gets kind of crisp and cold, that's when the apples come out. And every year in this village, they would celebrate the fall equinox, and they would recognize the tree and its gifts. Now, the tree had been there forever, and so the villagers were very fond of it, and they called it Grandmother Apple, because there was something about the tree that made them think of grandmothers. It was strong, it was there always, and it was so generous. It always gave freely. Now, at the equinox, this village had a habit of coming together, picking the apples on that day. They would wait till that day to pick the apples. They would say thank you to the tree, and then they would have a party. They would have a big festival of the harvest. And that was the way they did things for years and years and years, until one year it was different. Something changed. And that year, those apples ripened early. And as the people looked around and they noticed that the apples were getting red and it wasn't really the time of year yet, a few people thought, well, I don't know what's going on, and what if there aren't enough apples? And so they slipped out quietly and picked a few apples without telling anybody and put them away. And they said to each other, we're just going to save these for our family to make sure we have enough, because we don't want to go hungry this winter. And as people noticed that that was happening, more and more people slipped out and did, of course, exactly the same thing, because everybody wanted to be sure there was enough, and the more people who did it, the more they were worried that there might not be enough. And so by the time it got to the day of the festival, the tree was almost completely bare of apples. The people came to the square anyway, because it was the festival day, and the children stood there and they looked up and they said, but where did the apples go? What happened here? And the people kind of looked at each other a little bit sheepishly, but they didn't really look each other in the eye. They kind of looked down a little bit. And one, the oldest villager actually, her name's Myra, stepped forward. And she said, I think we all were so worried that there wouldn't be enough that we forgot to share. And she said, Grandmother Apple is always so generous. We always have so many apples. And we always get through the winter with those apples. But we forgot. And she walked forward. She didn't walk very well, but she could move. And she walked forward and she looked up at the apple tree, and she took one shiny red apple out of her basket of the things she had been saving early. And she put it under the tree. Well, those gazes that weren't looking in each other's eyes sort of paid very close attention to what was going on. And one by one, the villagers did the same. And they stepped forward, and some of them put apples in, and some of them put in cider, and some of them put in jam and juice, and any other thing you could think of that come from apples. And they also put in seeds so that people could have seeds to plant future trees. And it was in that moment that that festival changed completely. Because it stopped being about being sure you had enough or being sure you had the most. And it became about being aware of sharing, of trying to give the best and to share the very best. And what happened with Grandmother Apple? Well, that next spring, she had the most blossoms anyone could remember. She had glorious blossoms. She was full, and they knew there would be plenty of fruit that year. And they knew that those roots that she had deep down into the ground had found the love that those people had poured into their gifts to each other. And that was the love that made her grow. So as we move into the equinox, I hope we can remember the sharing and what we can share, and that enough, having enough, can mean so many things. Thank you. And now, you two, you ready to go downstairs and play?
Let's take a moment right now and greet our neighbors and welcome our guests. I'll be ringing the bell to bring us all back together in a moment. Richard, can I call you forward?
Hello, my name is Richard Menard. I've been a member for a few years, and I'd like to share what it's like to be part of a Unitarian Universalist Covenant group, which has become very meaningful in my life. During the week, I spend a lot of time alone. I work part-time for a virtual software company, and I get along well with my colleagues, but I've never met them face-to-face. In fact, I don't even know what some of them look like, because most of the time our Zoom meetings, the cameras are off, including mine. I don't want to be the only one. But I know their voices, and our conversations are always, meaningful regarding the work that we're doing. And these digital platforms are great for sharing documents and work plans, but they don't do much for helping develop personal connections. I really would like to get to know these people better. Like many of you, I have several social circles in my life, including this church, my health club, meeting friends at live music events, and hanging out at the Brewster Dog Park, where I have friends in multiple species. All these communities bring joy and activity, but there's something missing. For me, maybe for others, it takes a very long time to develop the level of trust where we can really share our innermost feelings, get to know one another, share our joys, our pains, our childhood memories, and our fears and hopes for the future. This is exactly what a covenant group provides for us. It's a small circle of people who come together with a promise, which is the covenant, to listen deeply, to speak honestly, and to treat each other with respect and care. When I walk into my covenant group, I know I'm entering a space where I can set aside the mask that I often wear and simply be myself. It's a place where I can share not just what's happening in my work week, but what's stirring in my soul. Something powerful happens when you sit in a place like this. You discover that your story is part of a larger story. You feel less alone. It's a place where you can share, You realize that others carry similar questions, struggles, and joys. I found new friendships here that go deeper than casual conversation, and I've discovered new insights about myself simply by listening to the stories of others. Covenant groups also remind me that the spiritual community is not just about Sunday, but it's about creating circles of trust and care that ripple out into the whole congregation. They strengthen our connections with each other, and they deepen the practice of listening with others, listening with compassion. So if you ever wished for a place where you could be known more fully, or a space to speak honestly about the things that matter most to you, I encourage you to join a covenant group this year. For me, it's been a gift of connection, a gift of belonging, and a gift of growth. You won't be sorry that you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. So there's sign-ups going on right now for covenant groups. I believe you can get that at the coffee hour, right? I'm getting nods from the middle, so that must be true. Next couple weeks, please do check that out. I appreciate your attention to that. And now.
Today is a celebration of community, of commitment, of the love and labor that make this congregation not just a gathering place, but a growing, living, vibrant home. Let this offering be a celebration of all that we've been together and a vote of confidence in all that we still can be. Let it be a gift from the heart. For the sake of the heart of this community, let it be generous because we are. As a reminder, this morning's offering is a split plate with Latinx in Action, which provides services to immigrant families and individuals. This organization was nominated by Building a Bigger Table. More information can be found in the order of service. The morning offering will now be given and gratefully received.
We are breathing our lives. We
The water gathered today in our annual water ceremony ritual comes from all over the world. From sea to air, to rain to plant, to animal, to ground, to river, and back to sea. None of the water on this planet is new. Assuming the Earth isn't kissed by a comet in the coming years, our planet has all of the water it will ever have and has ever had. The water we have gathered today has been spiraling around and around in a constant cycle for more than 4 billion years. The water gathered here may once have been tears of joy, an extinct ocean, the best chicken soup someone has ever had, the sweat of people who built this church, the blood of our ancient ancestors. And some of it was almost definitely, at some point, dinosaur pee. As we gather to celebrate our homecoming this morning, let us remember that water connects us to every home that has ever been, just as it is the thread that sustains every prodigal child that has ever been. Water is our heritage, our home, and our hope. And that is the story of the water we have gathered today. Today we join hundreds of other Unitarian Universalist congregations all across the country, beginning their church year with a water ceremony. As is the custom across our great and noble denomination, every one of those rituals will be a little bit different because no one tells us what to do. If my ushers can come forward, that would be great. So, first part, if you have water to share in today's ritual and you have not already shared it with the pitchers up front, please raise your hands. Anybody? Good. We'll send a pitcher around to collect it. Oh, perfect. Do me the kindness. Yes, perfect. And that's fine, just the two. If you can go down that way, see if anybody's got any water. Anybody? Just raise your hand so we can find you. Excellent. Second, does everyone have a file card, a little tiny piece of slip of paper? Should have picked it up when you came in. Hopefully you've got one. And there may be a pencil that you possibly need if you don't need one. If you don't have one, let me know. They may be in the back if you still need one. All right. So for those of you that don't have one, we will get those to you. Just keep your hands raised. For those of you that do have one, what we're going to do now is this. We're going to write. No crime novels, please. Just a couple of words. First word I kind of want you to write is kind of where your water comes from, right? Where your water comes from. And also why it means something to you. Just a couple of words there. If you have not brought any water, that's fine. Just write down some place that's special to you, some place that is in your heart. Second, on that same card, next to where your water comes from and why it matters, I want you to write down anything that sits on your soul today, anything that sits in your heart today. What is it you seek? What is it you're carrying, whether it's joy, grief, peace, or change? Just name that on your card. Accuracy is not that important. You can put more than one word. It's really okay. When you're finished, we're going to collect those. And after the service, you're welcome to come up to our table and look them over. But let's just take a minute right now and do that. Raise your cards when you're done. Better yet, if you pass those to the edges so we can collect those. Pass them to the edges. To the edges. Just pass those out. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. So I've got a couple hundred here. I'm not going, actually, yes, I'm going to read every single one. So these are not necessarily complete. Thank you so much. It's just a sampling. But we've got water off of Sandy Neck. We've got water from an apartment, a dehumidifier in somebody's apartment. Right? We've got water from Sheep Pond. We've got waters from Wellfleet. We've got waters from refrigerators. We've got water from, this one is Ocean Bay and ponds all over the Cape. This is amazing. So we've got water from all over the world here. We also have all kinds of emotions that people are carrying. Happiness, sadness, some compassion, peace. Something about the President of the United States that I can't actually say out loud. Reconnection, community, sadness, joy, hope, familiarity and yearning for wholeness. These are wonderful. We'll have these available for you to share and take a look at later. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to put these here. Waters poured from this first pitcher will represent moments of joy and happiness. These are our symbolic waters of summertime, the youthful energy that makes us want to laugh and dance and celebrate, the love that fills our hearts until our faces hurt from smiling too much. If this water speaks to you, you're invited to stand in body or in spirit and remain standing. The waters poured from this second pitcher are the storm waters of grief and loss. These are the rains of autumn that nourish us when we are adrift or when our hearts are broken. If grief for personal loss or for the world is in your heart today, this water is calling to you. Please rise, embody your spirit, and remain standing. Waters added from this third pitcher represent the waters of stillness, equanimity, and peace. This is the quiet of winter, the ice that endures, the tranquil snow that falls on our evergreens. If you yearn today for stillness and peace, this water is calling to you. Please rise, embody your spirit. Finally, the waters from this last pitcher are our rushing waters, waters of transition and change. This is the energy of spring, of new life, sudden growth, bubbling effervescence. It is the wonder of a child seeing the world for the first time, the breath of fresh experiences, the uncertainty of new things, the shedding of the unnecessary, the butterfly coming out of its chrysalis and learning to fly. If this water calls to you, please rise and embody your spirit. As water gives life, stone gives strength. Our chalice fire gives light, and air lifts the mind. Joy is mingled with grief. Peace is mingled with change. Fall moves into winter. Winter gives way to spring. Spring blends into summer, and the wheel goes around again. Here we are one. We are gathered, stranger, visitor, neighbor, family, friend. Here we are home again. Blessed are these living waters. Ashe, blessed be, and amen. Please be seated. We'll be using these waters to water our memorial garden after today's service. In fact, you could do this one. Why don't you do this one?
It's getting organized up here. There's lots of pieces of paper. So just to follow up on Richard's testimonial, I'm also a member of covenant groups, but sometimes I get to share widely as a worship associate. And the last time I had the opportunity to speak with y'all, I diagnosed myself with ADHD and used my first and second grade report card as evidence of typical behaviors. I really enjoyed the irony of seeing that my worst grades were in music and religion. And there I was leading a worship service and singing in the choir. It's not the first time that I've had an experience as a UU that provided an occasion for reflection that allowed me to learn something about myself, and I'm certain it won't be the last. I'm delighted that on Ingathering Sunday, I can say thank you to you all. Thank you for being who you are. Together, we've shared experiences and stories, many joyful, many inspiring, and yes, some challenging and even heartbreaking. Regardless, and I'm looking at Anne's shirt there, together we are stronger. My life is enriched by being here with all of you. I suspect, if not most of you, if not all, feel the same way. I think that's one of the reasons we come to church. Now, on to the reading. It's a poem titled The Great Realization. It begins with a short conversation between parent and child. I'll use a higher tone for the child's voice so you can follow along a little more clearly. Tell me the one about the virus again. Then I'll go to bed. But, my boy, you're growing weary. Sleepy thoughts about your head. That one's my favorite. Please, I promise. Just once more. Okay. Snuggle down, my boy. But I know you all too well. This story starts before then, in a world I once would dwell. It was a world of waste and wonder, of poverty and plenty, back before we understood why hindsight's 20/20. You see, the people came up with companies to trade all across the lands, but they swelled and got much bigger than we ever could have planned. We always had our wants, but now it got so quick. You could have anything you dreamed of in a day and with a click. We noticed families had stopped talking. That's not to say they never spoke, but the meaning must have melted and our work-life balance broke. And the children's eyes grew squarer, and every toddler had a phone. They filtered out the imperfections, but amidst the noise, they felt alone. And every day, the skies grew thicker till you couldn't see the stars. So we flew in planes to find them, while down below we filled our cars. We drove around all day in circles. We'd forgotten how to run. We swapped the grass for tarmac, shrunk the parks till there were none. We filled the sea with plastic because our waste was never capped. Until each day when you went fishing, you'd pull them out already wrapped. And while we drank and smoked and gambled, our leaders taught us why it's best to not upset the lobbies. More convenient to die. But then, in 2020, a new virus came our way. The governments reacted and told us all to hide away. But while we were all hidden, amidst the fear and all the while, the people dusted off their instincts. They remembered how to smile. They started clapping to say thank you and calling up their moms. And while the car keys gathered dust, they would look forward to their runs. And with the skies less full of voyagers, the earth began to breathe. And the beaches bore new wildlife that scuttled off into the seas. Some people started dancing, some were singing, some were baking. We'd grown so used to bad news, but some good news was in the making. And so, when we found the cure and were allowed to go outside, we all preferred the world we found to be the one we'd left behind. Old habits became extinct, and they made way for the new. And every single act of kindness was now given its due. But why did it take us so long to bring the people back together? Well, sometimes you've got to get sick, my boy, before you start feeling better. Now, lie down and dream of tomorrow and all the things that we can do. And who knows, if you dream hard enough, maybe some of them will come true. Now we call it the Great Realization, and yes, since then, there have been many. But that's the story of how it started and why hindsight's 20/20.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. 5 years ago, my family and I had just moved to Illinois from Maryland, where we'd lived for 50-some years. Our new house, though, there in Illinois, was like ours today, a maze of cardboard boxes. We had no idea where to get good pizza. And I was full of doubts. What if this whole ministry thing was a terrible mistake? To be clear, ministry was not my first career choice. My first choice was engineer. But because homework and I never really got along, I found myself swept into technology sales before I could spell Microsoft Windows. Tells you a little something about my subconscious, that it decided that I could make up for 2 decades in sales by going to seminary. Truth is, I've always had a love affair with big ideas, and seminary let me scratch an itch that I had forgotten I had had. I graduated, got ordained, received a call to serve a congregation in the Midwest, packed my boxes, said goodbye to everything familiar. And there I was that first Sunday in September, 5 years ago, standing in my new church sanctuary, ready to lead worship for the very first time. And no one was there. No choir, no congregation, just me, a camera, and an internet connection. Because this was 5 years ago, 2020, the height of the pandemic. Everything was closed. Church was Zoom. Community was digital. The sacred got wrapped in pixels and delivered by Wi-Fi. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Zoom church, for the record, sits somewhere between those two extremes. We did it in Illinois, you did it here at First Parish, and congregations all across the country followed our examples. That was the year we all embraced the Holy Trinity of Sunday morning worship: coffee, pajama bottoms, and the mute button. We learned many things, two of which I won't forget. One, someone will always forget they're on mute. Two, someone else will always forget they're not on mute. Lessons for the ages. Some days 2020 feels so distant, like a dream, could not be real. And putting myself back there in the fall, the idea that it would go on for another year, I don't know what I would have done had I known that. Maybe my family and I would have moved here to the Cape. I mean, if everything was going to be remote anyway, why not be remote from somewhere amazing? Hindsight is 2020. So here we are, 5 years on. We are no longer remote, but somehow I'm here on Cape Cod. I still pinch myself over that one. But though it's been 5 years, that moment still feels kind of close to me. Not just because it was my beginning, but because in some ways, I think we are still in that moment. This past year, my family has been through a lot. This church has been through a lot. Our country has been through a lot. But I hear that same question echoing. What are we becoming? And while I don't have a crystal ball or those Powerball numbers, I do know this: there is a choice to be made. And it matters deeply which story we choose to live. Maybe that's why I've been thinking again about the poem that John just read, The Great Realization by Thomas Roberts. Some of you may remember watching it as a YouTube video. Anybody ever catch that the first time it came through? A couple of you. It was released in the very early stages of the pandemic. Maybe you were one of the millions who were reminded, like me, that even when the world feels broken, we human beings are capable of astonishing acts of resilience, of tenderness, and hope. The poem is a once upon a time story. In it, the author imagines a time, maybe like 100 years from now, when those future people look back at us as if they're glimpsing some kind of alien world. A time when, they said, the skies first cleared, when neighbors started calling on one another again, when we remembered as a species that kindness mattered more than speed or profit. I like to think that for a brief while, that story was our story. That this hopeful, hope-filled, achingly precious vision was a world we could live in. And for a moment, it seemed like maybe we would. A brief, fluttering moment. And then, in the rush to return to normal, we lost sight somehow of how abnormal that old normal had actually been. In that return, we saw misinformation, division, and mistrust spread like a plague across our common life. For fun and profit, we have been led down a path where stranger has once again become stranger, where common purpose has become alien, where the very idea of compassion is now called a sin. And that is today. But what if it doesn't have to be this way? Despite all the gloom, despite all the bad news, despite all that has gone down and what has yet to go down, what the great realization asks us to remember is that all things change. And in change, there is choice. We can still choose. And that is where faith comes in. Our tradition teaches us that revelation is not sealed. What that means is that truth is not frozen in time, carved in stone, handed down once and for all time. It is an unfolding thing, still emerging, still being written. It is not a possession, it is a process, and we are part of it. At the start of a new church year, facing new challenges, holding new possibilities, this is the spiritual question before us. What future will we help bring to life? Today we find two stories running side by side, the story of fracture and the story of resilience, the story of despair and the story of hope, the story of growing shadow and the story of the rebirth of light. Which story we live depends on which one we choose. The future is not fate. It's something we shape. And this is where one of my favorite science fiction authors, Octavia Butler, speaks with great clarity. In her landmark novel, The Parable of the Sower, she offers this refrain: God is change. Now, that word God may cause a few of you to squirm a bit. I see you. We'll explore that some other Sunday. But today, let's just follow the example of AC/DC road manager Barry Taylor, who said that, quote, God is the name of the blanket that we throw over mystery to give it shape. Does that help? It may help, right? We're talking about mystery. But I want to aim mystery in a particular direction, away. And not just a little bit away. I'm thinking of ultimacy, where the word God is a sort of shorthand for our highest ideals, our noblest intentions, our loftiest aspirations, our very best, when all of the superlatives get turned up to 11. Ultimacy. The highest truth, the end of all wisdom, and then calling that change. For Butler, change is what binds everything together. All that was, all that is, all that will ever be. Nothing is permanent. Everything shifts. Everything becomes. The question is never whether change will happen. The question is whether we will choose to be gobbled up by it like a monstrous sandworm too big to avoid, or whether we will instead jump on its back and direct it toward a destiny that is worthy of us, worthy of children of mystery. Did you catch that? A Dune reference, right? Two classic sci-fi references back to back. You are not going to get that in a Baptist church, my friends. You're welcome. This is the spiritual work that is before us, to shape the change of our time, to do it with courage, with imagination, with hope, to face our fear, to find our bravery, to do the hard things anyway. To be quite blunt, this is one of the lessons of the pandemic, that we do not always have to do things the way they have always been done. We can adapt, and we know that we can because we already did it. I still remember the images of my neighbors shopping for one another, leaning out of windows to sing together, sharing recipes for sourdough, clapping for healthcare workers. Small gestures. but signs of something larger. Signs that belonging is not just sentimental, it is survival. Let me say that again. Belonging is not sentimental, it is survival. Because once upon a time, we knew that connection mattered more than convenience, that belonging mattered more than speed, that kindness and care and community are what carry us when everything else breaks down. And all of that is still true. Belonging always carries us through. Which brings me back to today. Because belonging is not easy. Not today. Today, it is countercultural. We live in a time of alienation, political alienation, where people shout across fences but rarely listen. Social alienation, where loneliness is an epidemic. Economic alienation, where workers are treated as disposable. And religious alienation, where too many have been wounded by judgment instead of held by grace. To build belonging in such a time as this is never a sentimental act. It's an act of resistance. Because when we choose to belong to one another, across differences, across wounds, across history, we are saying no to the world as it is, and yes to the world as it could be. And that, my friends, is why Unitarian Universalism matters right now. Because we are the people who say that change is holy, that love is better than fear, that truth is always unfolding, that the story is never finished. And that is who we are. And so I wonder, what if our great realization is not just about the world we glimpsed so tentatively back in 2020, but about what we might choose here in 2025? What if the story our grandchildren tell is that in a time of political fracture and economic crisis and ecological crisis, communities like this one, like First Parish Brewster, said, we will belong to one another anyway. We will dream together anyway. We will build together anyway. What if instead of letting change happen to us, we chose instead to happen to change? What if that is how it started? If you look closely, I think you can already see the signs. You can see them in young people organizing for climate justice. You can see them in neighborhoods creating networks of care. You can see them in communities resisting authoritarianism and standing up for democracy. You can see them right here in this congregation every time someone is welcomed not as a stranger, but as a neighbor. No strangers, only neighbors. The story of the future is not only written in parliaments and palaces. It is written in communities. It is written in congregations like this one. And when historians 100 years from now tell the story of this time, I hope, I pray, I fervently dream that they will tell the story of churches like yours. Churches who chose belonging when the world was trying to tear them apart. So let me say it plainly. You have a rare opportunity. Yes, there has been disruption and struggle. Yes, there has been hurt and confusion. Yes, there have been departures and wounds. But that is not the end of the story. This is the time when the story can turn. What if this year became the year First Parish Brewster began to imagine again? when you chose to build again, when you decided that belonging was not just an aspiration, but a practice, something you do week by week, covenant by covenant, heart by heart. That is the opportunity before us to shape the change that is already happening, to shape it into a story worth telling, and more importantly, worth retelling. Our poem ends with a child asking, "But why did it take us so long to bring the people back together?" And the reply, "Sometimes you've got to get sick, my boy, before you start feeling better." It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. And my friends, we have been sick as a nation, as a planet, even at times as a church. But here we are, together, alive, awake. So my charge to you, my new congregation, is this: let us begin again. Let us build belonging. Let us be the kind of community that generations from now will be remembered as the place where people chose hope over fear, connection over alienation, and courage over despair. Let them realize, let them look back and say, this is how it started. May it ever be so. Welcome back, First Parish. Welcome home. Ashe, amen, and blessed be.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, and it's 131 from the Gray Hymnal. Love will guide us.
To close our worship this morning, I have these words from Kaylee Rice, who writes, "A blue watery field with the words in slinky cursive, coming home, and like rivers to the sea. It starts with a drop, then a trickle, a burble, a rush of water bubbling toward its destination, and finally the wide, endless sea. All rivers run to the sea, today brought to you by water. Poured it into a common bowl though our experiences have differed, these waters mingle, signifying our common humanity. Today you came and shared in this sacred community. May you depart this sacred space, hearts filled with hope for new beginnings, a fresh start. Go forth, but return to this community, where rivers of tears may be shed, where dry souls are watered, where your joy bubbles, where your cup overflows, where deep in your spirit You have found this place a home. All rivers run to the sea.
So, my friends, as we prepare to leave, know that whatever taste or touch you've had in this time and place of hope, peace, love, joy, that is a gift that goes with you out into the world. We are different for having spent this time together. We are different because of the questions we explore together. But mostly, what makes us different is what we do together. And with that, remember, life is short, and we do not have much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel with us. So be swift to love. Make haste to be kind. And wherever you go, be bold and go with great thanksgiving. Amen. Blessed be. Thank you. Welcome back. You are all invited to the coffee communion, to the parish hall for coffee and conversation. Thank you so much.